Today we're going to talk about a problem that was killing some of America's best pilots, a mechanic who decided to break every single rule in the book, and a ridiculously simple fix that completely changed the air war. And it really all boils down to this one question. Because back in 1943, the skies over New Guinea were basically a death trap for American fighter pilots. Their top-of-the-line aircraft was getting absolutely schooled, and the solution didn't come from some fancy research lab. Nope, it came from a greasy tool bag. Okay, so let's set the stage. In one corner, you've got the P-38 Lightning. This thing's a beast. 2 engines, tons of power, and absolutely deadly if it's diving on you from above. And in the other corner, you have the Mitsubishi Zero. It's light, it's incredibly agile, and it's the undisputed king of the classic turning dogfight. The American playbook was crystal clear. Use the P-38 speed, hit hard, and run fast. But whatever you do, never ever try to get into a turning fight with a Zero. The problem, though, is that a real war doesn't give a damn about the playbook. And that led to a really, really deadly flaw. Because in the summer of '43, deep in the Pacific, something was going terribly, terribly wrong for the American 5th Air Force. This is the number that just says it all: 37. In just 6 weeks, the 5th Air Force lost 37 P-38 Lightnings. I mean, that's more than a plane every other day. It didn't matter if you were a seasoned veteran or a rookie, pilots were just getting plucked out of the sky at a horrifying rate. So what was the official reason for these insane losses? You guessed it. The training manuals, the official reports from way up the chain of command, they all said the same thing: pilot error. The pilots just weren't following the rules. But the guys on the ground, the mechanics who had to patch up the planes and listen to the pilots, they knew something else was going on. And the pilots who were lucky enough to make it back, or whose last words were heard crackling over the radio, they all told the exact same story. The plane felt mushy, slow to respond. There was this fatal lag, a delay between when they moved the stick and when the plane actually did anything. We're talking fractions of a second, but in a dogfight, well, that's an eternity. And then one guy, a technical sergeant named James McKenna, he figured out the real problem. It wasn't the pilots at all. It was this: control cable slack. He noticed these really long cables running from the cockpit to the P-38's control surfaces had just a little bit of play in them. Now, technically it was within the factory specs, but McKenna just knew. He knew it was causing that deadly delay. And here's the part that is just absolutely wild. The size of this problem: 3/8 of an inch. That's it. A tiny bit of looseness in a wire, about the width of a pencil eraser, was costing American lives day in and day out. So McKenna had found the problem, but when he brought it up the chain, he got shut down hard. And that left him with a choice. He could follow the rules and just keep watching pilots die, or he could trust his gut and take a massive career-ending risk. And this was the official line he got from his engineering officer. The slack was within specifications, period. You do not, under any circumstances, modify a flight control system in the field. It would void the warranty, and you'd need approval from Lockheed, which was, 7,000 miles away. So the official answer was a big fat no. And then came the moment that changed absolutely everything. A young pilot, Lieutenant Robert Hayes, scared out of his mind, came to McKenna. Hayes had watched his friends die, and frankly, he didn't care about regulations. He just wanted a fighting chance to make it through his next mission alive. And that was all McKenna needed to hear. So McKenna did the unthinkable. In the middle of the night, all by himself, he took a 6-inch piece of salvaged piano wire and bent it into a little Z shape. He snuck into the hangar and installed this totally illegal homemade part deep inside the control system of Hayes's P-38. He knew. He absolutely knew if he got caught, he was looking at a court-martial. Prison time for sure. But he also knew that if he did nothing, Hayes was probably going to die. So on the morning of August 17th, 1943, Lieutenant Hayes climbed into a secretly modified P-38 and flew straight for a formation of Japanese Zeros. What happened over the next 17 minutes would prove McKenna was right all along. Hayes dives on a Zero, but this time, when he yanks the stick, the plane just responds instantly. No delay, no mushiness. He rolls inside the Zero's turn, gets on his tail, first kill. Then 2 more Zeros dive on him. He does something a P-38 just shouldn't be able to do. He reverses his turn on a dime, gets behind one of them, second kill. He then outmaneuvers and nails a third. In just 7 minutes, a pilot with 0 combat kills becomes an 8. When Hayes landed, his hands still shaking, he walked right over to McKenna. He didn't say much. He didn't need to. He just looked him in the eye and said 2 words. It worked. Well, an impossible victory like that doesn't exactly go unnoticed. And pretty soon, the secret of the piano wires started to spread. Not through official memos, of course, but through whispers on the flight line. You see, another pilot, a Captain Mitchell, had seen the whole thing from up high, and he knew Hayes's plane was moving in ways a P-38 just couldn't. He landed and demanded to know what was going on. McKenna told him, and Mitchell basically said, "I don't care about regulations, do that to my plane." And soon, other pilots were asking their crew chiefs, and the crew chiefs were all coming to McKenna. An underground innovation network was literally born right there in the hangar. And you can see the results right here. The data is just undeniable. In July, before the fix, the Americans were losing 2 P-38s for every single zero they shot down. It was a bloodbath. But by September, with dozens of planes now secretly modded, the ratio had completely flipped. They were taking down almost 2 zeros for every P-38 they lost. I mean, the numbers just don't lie. Even the enemies started to notice something was up. Top Japanese aces, guys like Saburo Sakai, were suddenly finding their tried-and-true tactics just weren't working anymore. They'd try to bait a P-38 into a turning fight, expecting it to be slow and clumsy, but instead, the American plane would just snap around with impossible speed. They were fighting an enemy that had changed overnight, and they had no idea why. So what happened to McKenna, the mechanic who risked everything? What was his big reward for this game-changing idea? Well, this is the last and maybe the most important part of the story. Eventually, of course, the brass found out about the modification. Lockheed sent some engineers out to evaluate it. And surprise, surprise, their official report said the fix was safe and effective. And who got the credit? The Lockheed engineers for their brilliant engineering analysis. James McKenna's name? Nowhere, not mentioned in a single official report. But his real legacy isn't in some dusty report. It's in this number. 100. Years later, a military historian went back and studied the survival rates. He estimated that James McKenna's illegal 8-minute fix, made from a scrap of piano wire, probably saved the lives of as many as 100 American pilots. After the war, McKenna went back home to California. He opened a garage and lived a quiet life. He never got a medal, never got any official recognition. His reward wasn't some piece of metal. It was the phone call he got every single year on August 17th from Robert Hayes, the very first pilot whose life he saved. And that brings us to the final thought here. McKenna's story really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Where does real life-saving innovation actually come from? Is it from the big engineering committees and the official channels? Or does it come from the people on the front lines, the ones who see a problem up close, who understand it, and who aren't afraid to break the rules to fix it?